U.S. technology companies account for some of the biggest innovations in the world, but the U.S. is losing ground when it comes to measures like technology adoption, telecom readiness, and sheer numbers of engineering graduates. Hal Raveche is president of Stevens Institute of Technology, a leading science and engineering university in New Jersey. He has written numerous articles on U.S. technological competitiveness and thinks it's one of the most critical issues facing the country today.
I put it up there with fighting global insurgency. It is essential for the U.S. Sadly, no U.S. leader is really focusing on this.
In March, the World Economic Forum came out with its Networked Readiness Index. Denmark, which had been number 3 the year before, came out on top, while the U.S., which was number 1 the year before, dropped to number 7. Now, this isn't the first study to indicate that the U.S. is losing its competitive edge when it comes to innovation. Why do you think that is?
That particular study referred to telecommunications readiness. I think that is just one indicator of many that the U.S. is at best stagnant in the high-tech arena and most likely losing ground through many countries. There are several reasons, in my view. One has to do with the onerous regulations and the burden of doing expense in the U.S. Sarbanes-Oxley has caused tremendous problems. The number of high-tech independent public offerings was approximately 170 in 2000 and dropped to 35 in 2006. In addition to the onerous weight of Sarbanes-Oxley and the role of banks and attorneys and auditors, there is another problem, and as serious. And that problem is the quality, the environment in our engineering and science education. Thomas Friedman and Norm Augustine and others talk about the need to graduate more engineers and scientists in the U.S. because China's graduating more, right? And India is graduating more. I'm not so sure it's a question of numbers rather than a question of the creativity of our engineers and scientists, as reflected, for example, in the number of patents leveling off. Our view at Stevens and the model that we're trying to develop is to bring a deeper knowledge of the marketplace into the university. Faculty still publish in A-level journals. However, in addition, they get an appreciation for the marketplace and how their work may be viewed by the marketplace. Students learn in that environment, and when they graduate, they learn how to grow a business or launch a business. And we believe that that model needs to be practiced in order to usher in a new era of economic competitiveness. The situation in Asia is dynamic. Everyone is talking about China, China, China. I think there's an overemphasis on China and perhaps a lack of appreciation of what might develop in Asia. China has enormous internal problems. It's pollution. A third of the students in universities say that their education is useless. They're not getting jobs. China does not particularly respect intellectual property. So I'm not sure that China is going to be the supreme high-tech country in Asia. Look at Japan. If you look at the number of patents per resident, not per multinational company, but per resident, which is an indication of the creativity of a country, right? Japan is number 1 in the world, by far ahead of the U.S., ahead of Korea, ahead of Singapore, ahead of Taiwan. Japan has a new culture, a new respect for entrepreneurs. There are more IPOs in Japan from 2001 to 2006 than in the U.S. Japan has a huge telecommunications infrastructure, very low access costs to the internet, broadband, very low, probably the lowest in the world. It's the second largest economy in the world. So I agree with the recent Harvard Business Review article indicating that Japan will emerge as the high-tech nation in Asia and outperform China in the number of high-tech startups.
What do you think the federal government should do to increase American competitiveness in technology? Just give me a short list.
We need a strategy now focused on national priorities. Clearly one is homeland security. There are a wealth of technologies that are needed to improve our homeland security that also have commercial applications. Energy. We talk every time the price of oil goes up from OPEC. We say, okay, now we need alternate energy sources. It takes a sustained policy. Then we look at transportation. Whole host of technologies to improve transportation, get congestion off our highways, reduce our dependency on petroleum fuels, right? And then we talk about healthcare, the rising cost of healthcare. Part of that is management, but part of that is new technology to lower the cost of healthcare. So we have 4 or 5 priority areas for this country. Make massive investments, billions of dollars in R&D. Encourage creativity. Encourage through funding and through public discussion more young people entering science and engineering with the thought that they too can become entrepreneurs. That careers in science and engineering are as exciting as they are on Wall Street. And without that, we are not going to get this very talented group of young women and men going into science and engineering with the dream of starting their own company. It just won't happen.
Why should a university student go into IT when their job could very well be outsourced to India or China?
One of the features of the global economy is that if you are just good in your field, let's say you're a good computer scientist or a software engineer, right, or a physicist for that matter, someone someplace in the world will work with the same skills will work for a lot less money. If, however, you're good in your field and you're also creative, then you're much less likely to be outsourced. We have a special opportunity in the U.S. to safeguard our high-tech workforce by encouraging this creative approach to engineering and science. Without it, we will be outsourced.